I used to be a man-child, by my own admission, living with my father, being financially dependent on him and emotionally dependent on basically everyone else in my life, to the place where I'm at now, where I'm basically traveling around as a digital nomad. I don't have a boss, no one tells you what to do, what to think, how to feel, etc. And it's completely a life lived on my terms. And man, I want the same for you. I want you to join me in this existence, okay? So what I've done, I've reverse engineered the process I went through, and I've condensed it into a 3-step signature system, which I am tentatively calling the OLI method, O-L-I. I'll explain exactly what that stands for at the end of the video. If you follow the OLI method, the 3-step signature OLI method, I guarantee you, man, you can create a life that not only is better than the one you have now, but it's a life that most men dream of. Like a life of freedom, where guys come to you and say to you, I want what you have, can you tell me how to get it? Because that's what's happening to me now. And you have people come to you and they say, you're living the life, mate. You're really living the life. Okay, they might not say mate, but you get the point. Let's crack on. Step number 1. Naturally, when we start taking action to change our lives, we're going to come up against resistance. That might be anxiety, that might be self-doubts, that might be some sort of fear. And when we feel that in the body and we don't really have a way of dealing with it, we're just going to avoid the thing, avoid the source of the fears and the negative emotions. But the problem is, while doing that, we end up engaging in a ton of bad habits that we wouldn't really choose. So often the reason why we procrastinate is not laziness. You might think you're lazy because you procrastinate, but that's not true. The real reason that we procrastinate is something that I uncovered a couple of years ago when I interviewed Professor Fusia Saroy, or Dr. Fusia Saroy, from the University of Sheffield. And she's a procrastination expert. She even wrote a book on it. And in her book, and her whole thesis about procrastination is that procrastination doesn't come down to laziness. Procrastination comes down to a single core reason, and that reason is poor mood management. But what if I was to say to you that there is a habit that if we implemented it would mean that we can regulate our emotions, control and manage our mood to the point where we won't procrastinate anymore, we won't be run by negative emotions, we won't stay stuck in this cycle for years and years and years, we actually have a way out. Well, there is. And that habit is journaling. Writing about your experiences, your thoughts, your feelings in a journal is one of, if not the greatest emotional self-regulation tools available to you. Successful people have one thing in common. They all write. So I want you to, as I did a long time ago, around 2015, adopt the identity of a writer. You are a writer. You write. You take your experiences, you put them into your brain, and you produce words that have value. This is your identity now. Now, a lot of men, when I say this, they're like, writing's a bit feminine, bro. Well, to that I just say one thing. Have you ever heard of Marcus Aurelius? He's the greatest Roman emperor who ever lived, who wrote a daily journal. That daily journal would, around 2,000 years later, become one of the greatest books that you can read, a book called Meditations. It's one of the core fundamental books of Stoicism, Stoic philosophy. And honestly, mate, if it's good enough for Marcus Aurelius, if he can find a reason to journal without being, oh, bro, it's a bit feminine, then you can as well. Suck it up, get over it. This habit is the thing that's going to make you a lot of money one day. And to get started, download my free 31-day journaling fillable PDF that I'm going to put in the pinned comment below this video. But how do you actually take the journaling habit and make money from it? Is that not a little bit far-fetched? Well, this brings me nicely to step 2. So once you've been journaling consistently for a little while, you can take that journaling habit and you can create a monetizable personal brand out of it. You can launch your personal brand. Now, at the stage that you might be currently at, this might sound really far-fetched. It's like, can I really honestly make money with a personal brand? Doesn't that seem really far-fetched in the future? Well, not only is this what I did, but this is also what another quite famous author did, an author by the name of James Clear, author of the best-selling book Atomic Habits. So let me just explain to you what James Clear did. James had a baseball injury, I believe. He really screwed himself up. He busted his nose, he lost his sense of smell, he had multiple fractures and stitches. It was a real mess, which required that he sits in a hospital bed and just recover. And in that hospital bed is when he started journaling about his experiences, because he had nothing else to do, so he started writing about them. But over time, he started uncovering that he had an interest and a passion in habit formation and human behaviour. And eventually, he wanted to share this with the world. So he started a blog, jamesclear.com, where he started sharing his insights and what he learned with the world. Turns out, because he'd been journaling for a while, his writing was different. He learned to understand himself as he was journaling, which made his writing really, really impactful. So he eventually built a following with his blog. And it wasn't for a little while that he even thought about monetizing it. But then eventually he thought, you know what, I'm going to start releasing ebooks. I'm going to start releasing courses. People started reaching out to him for coaching, which eventually he started increasing his rates for. Next thing you know, he had a monetizable personal brand, which he started from a journaling habit. And then in 2018, he released the book Atomic Habits, which just made him pretty much famous. It completely blew up his career. Now he's one of the most famous and recognizable names in personal development. Now to this, you might say, yeah, well, bro, Ollie, you're talking out your balls. Not everyone can do that. Not everyone can create that like James Clear did. And to that, mate, I say, look, what one man can do, another man can do. If one man can just repeat these steps across time and discover his interests and passions and monetize them, you can absolutely do the same. The market is not oversaturated because the market has never seen you before, has it? The market has never seen your authentic self creatively expressing itself and solving problems on the internet. So take that journaling habit that you built in step 1, public. Go on Medium, start a Substack, create a WordPress blog, create a YouTube channel, my personal preference. I don't care what it is, just start sharing your interests and passions with the world. This step is absolutely crucial for step 3, but I'll explain that in a moment. Now at this point, you might also think that I don't have anything to offer. I've got nothing interesting to say, nothing interesting to talk about. And mate, I promise you that you do. Because right now, you have problems in your life. Problems are what make content really good, solving problems. People read stuff to get entertained and to solve their problems. What you have a unique opportunity to do now, I don't care what you're struggling with, anxiety, you're struggling with, whatever it is in your life. Make a list of your problems if you want to. Rank order them in terms of which problems are you excited about solving. Then commit to solving those problems and document the process along the way. On YouTube, for example, you can find shitloads of videos talking about, I did something for 30 days, here's what happened. It's become a bit of a meme now, but the reason why this became so popular is because those videos are extremely engaging. And it doesn't require you to be an expert now. It requires that you just go on a journey from A to B and teach people along the way. Read a book and distill the book down into 3 key messages or 3 key insights and share them with your audience. It doesn't require you to be an expert. Think of something you went through in the past. Tell a story, tell the audience a key insight from that story. Those are 3 types of content you can do right now without being an expert. You could start making those immediately. I would read it. You could create it today, I would read it tomorrow. But I will be honest, making a living from a personal brand, that's a long-term play. So what do you actually do if you want to make money, if you want to start making the Benjamins quicker than say a year or 2 down the line? What about 2 or 3 months from now? Well, this brings me neatly to step 3. So at this point, let's say you've produced about 50 pieces of written content, either in the form of a YouTube video, an email, or article. At this point, your writing is probably pretty good. Most people don't reach the 50-point mark. Most people give up way before that. So if you've even made it to 50, you're already in a better position than 95% of aspiring creators out there. So congratulations. But what you can do right now is you can take that skill that you've built and you can start putting yourself out there, marketing yourself and applying for jobs as a content writer or a copywriter. You can take your writing skill and find work with it today. And you can start generating an income on the side that's completely location independent as you grow your own platform. Both of these things feed into each other. The more practice you get writing and getting paid to write for other people's blogs and YouTube channels, the more you're going to be able to apply that to your own. This is precisely what I did. And here's the cool thing. With the work that you did in phase 1 by journaling, you will have clarity on the specific passions, topics, and niche interests that you have. And this is cool because most writers who try to write for everybody and everything, they struggle to command and charge a higher rate. The reason why I was able, within a couple of months of applying for jobs and stuff, and working online, the reason why within like a couple of months I went from sort of a couple of $100 a month to $3,000 to $4,000 a month is because I specialized in entrepreneurship, self-development. Entrepreneurship, self-development. I became really, really, really good at those two topics. Next thing you know, people were reaching out to me in emails and on my Upwork profile asking me to work for them. It became a bit ridiculous at one point. But before you start charging that amount, I recommend that you do what I did, which is that you start charging your services at say 5 cents a word. That's entry level. It means that you're not going to set an expectation by overcharging and under-delivering. You're going to slightly undercharge and over-deliver, which means you're going to get loads of testimonials, which means your profile and portfolio is going to get way stronger. And this is going to allow you to gradually increase your rates over time. And the cool thing about this, mate, right now, is that let's just say you're making $2,000 as a conservative estimate. Well, mate, you can fire your boss. You can make a plan right now to fire your boss, and you can start getting really serious about your travel plans. If you've wanted to see the world, then you can get really serious about that. You can be like, okay, Costa Rica, okay, Colombia, okay, Southeast Asia. You can genuinely start making those plans now because $2,000 a month, mate, I'm serious now. Hopefully you'll be making more than that if you want, but you can survive in these countries. You can thrive in some of these countries on that amount. And as you travel, you're going to be exposed to new experiences. You're going to improve your creativity because travel really does have that effect, which is something I didn't realize at the time. But the cool thing is, mate, alongside all of this, you're still building your personal brand, which means eventually you're going to be able to fire anyone. You're going to be able to not work for anyone, like not even as a freelancer. You don't even need to have a boss that way. I mean, if you still enjoy doing that work, continue, but eventually you're going to have the full freedom to create and monetize your own brand from you, from your authentic interests and passions. That's freedom, my friend. That is you living a life on your terms. That's you not having to do a single thing that you don't want to do. You can wake up whenever you want. You can do whatever you want, from wherever you want, with whoever you want. Well, okay, maybe not that, but you see my point. What you just implemented here, this whole video is the Ollie method. What does that stand for? O stands for outlet. You let out your thoughts and your emotions and your interests and all this stuff onto the page. You take it from here and you get it out. And L, what does L stand for? L stands for launch. You launch your business and your personal brand, your online presence based on your authentic interests and passions. And I, you integrate freelance writing work into your lifestyle as you continue to grow your personal brand. You have won your freedom. You've won your freedom. You've liberated yourself from the chains that once held you back. You've become a free and independent, self-reliant man. You have completely overcome the man-child, childlike psychology, and you've finally become the man that you know you could be, living the life that you genuinely enjoy living. So this system, it just works. But there are some pretty important nuances that only apply to you specifically. I can't talk about them on a video because they only apply to you. Okay? My concern is that if you don't know these nuances, you're going to take this system, and let's say you do take action on it, but you're going to run with it and it's going to take you over a year, 2 years, 3 years to get monetized, if you ever actually do get monetized, instead of just months. That lack of momentum is going to kill your motivation and it's going to stop you taking action. Next thing you know, you're going to stay stuck in this passive consumer cycle, watching content that pays other men instead of you being the man who actually gets paid for the content he creates. That's my concern. And this is exactly why I offer a complimentary strategy session for you. On this session, we are going to completely resolve these nuances, answer all of those questions, and create a custom roadmap for you to monetize yourself in the next, not in the next year or two, but in the next 3 to 6 months. There's no pressure to buy anything from me. I'm not going to sell you on this call. If you want to work with me at the end of the call, that decision, mate, is going to come entirely from you. But one thing I will ask of you is that you show up on this call, man. Come with a pen, come with a journal, come ready to learn and take notes. Come with the intention to change your fucking life, because that is exactly what this call can do. To put things in perspective, to give you some transparency, The last call I did on my calendar was a YouTube growth strategy session with a creator. He paid me $500 for a 60-minute call. And the call that I'm offering to you right now, no bullshit, is more impactful than the call that I gave that guy and he paid willingly $500 for. And if you don't believe me, mate, I'm going to flash up a testimonial on the screen right now. This is from John. This is the last strategy session that I delivered 2 days ago. This completely resolved his income anxiety and turned things around for him, gave him complete clarity in his next steps in just 45 minutes. So here's my dream for you. In 6 months, you will join me in a whiskey bar in Osaka, Japan, or on a beach in Croatia, and we can talk about our businesses and how cool things are right now. That's my dream. So if that appeals to you, if that's what you want, here's what I want you to do. Click the link in the pinned comment below, go to my calendar, find a time that suits you, answer the follow-up questions, grab your journal and a pen and show up on the call. And I'm going to leave you with something that my mentor, my first mentor, told me back in the day, and I still remember the words. Your life could look very different in 3 months. Meditate on that, and I'll see you on the call. Peace.